iClass session 1 of our first week. So this is post self-assessment. Hopefully it went well for you. And just to give you some information before we get started. First of all, the most important thing is that you need a mat, okay? So you need to make sure that you have some kind of either sticky yoga or Pilates mat. It's just best for you to go through the routines through the semester, especially when we start rolling on our back, our spine. You're going to start to notice certain things where you're going to need some support, okay? Second thing is that you need to make sure that you take the time out of the week to do the sessions, time away from some kind of normalcy in your home if you're in your home. So find a place where you have no distractions, making sure that you've turned off notifications if you're on your phone, if you're using your phone to watch the video, and also just make sure again that you have strong Wi-Fi. And just be able to go to a place, I think, is really important if you have that in your environment, to be able to go to a place that you know that that is for you, okay? And also just to be present, be open-minded, open-hearted during these workouts, these sessions. You're going to learn a lot in this class. And so we go right from week 1 with an assessment, and then 2 sessions, this one and tomorrow's session. And then after that, we're 4 days a week. So there's a lot to tackle. There's a lot of time put into these sessions for you as well as myself. So just make sure that you treat this as you time, right? Me time. And so try to be as, minimally distracted as possible, and treat this as a growth mindset, right? Go into it with a positive attitude, positive mindset, and that you're going to grow from each session. You really will. It's going to happen. So listen to the cues, listen to the information that I'm giving you while we are going through the session and I'm practicing with you, right? I can't give you feedback because I can't see you. However, you can always reach out to me and question, a movement. Write it down if you want to. Plug it in your phone if there's one particular exercise that you're finding challenging or you're not sure that you're doing it correctly. And then just reach out to me and let me know. You can always record yourself as well and then send me a video and showing me what you're questioning, right? If there's a conflict there. Today, we're really going to focus on our posture, our breathing, and beginning with some really basic fundamentals of Pilates, but modifying them. So we're not going to go too hard, too fast. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about that breathing again. So we did the breathing test during the assessment, and that was just a breath test for 1, right? 1 breath. And what we were doing was we were inhaling deeply, as deep as possible, and then transitioning slowly into a really big exhale, right? And we try to lengthen that exhale out as far as we can and then recycle, right? Just redo everything again and again while we're breathing. There's going to be exercises where you're going to be able to do that. Get a full breath, big, full breathing. And then there's going to be exercises where it's just impossible, okay? Maybe you're constricted, you're on your tummies, and there's also going to be exercises where I'm going to ask you to coordinate your breathing, which means that it's more of a shallower breathing. It's not as deep as a full breath. So you might just have to make sure that you're just doing a shorter version of that deep breath, if that makes sense, okay? But if all possible, we're really trying to get the most efficient breathing throughout the sessions. And that is just making sure that you're aware of your breathing. I think you're going to notice the feedback I've always received throughout the semesters is that unless I mentioned it to make sure that you focus on your breathing, you're not aware of it. So just try to practice being aware of your breathing, and maybe that will become habitual, and so you won't have to rely upon me. Okay, so breathing, pulling that breath in, pushing that breath out. So we never want to hold our breath during these sessions at all. Okay, if you notice that you're breathing quickly, maybe even panting, that's a really good time to be aware that you need to slow it down. Okay, because this is really non-weight bearing exercise and we're on our mat, it's just us and our bodies as our weight and the resistance. We're not really raising the heart rate much at all. Okay, posture. So you're going to hear me say tall trunk, and tall trunk just simply means that we are trying to pull our shoulders up and back and holding this tall position of our trunk, which means we engage our core muscles. And so that will be in a seated position, that will be in a kneeling position, and that's pretty much it. So in those two positions, if I say tall trunk, what that simply means is that we're going to be aware of what these muscles are doing in our trunk, right? And so our core muscles, our hips, our glutes are nice and strong, so we tighten those muscles, right? We're gonna try and pull our abdominals in and hold them there. And then we're going to hold our upper chest and shoulders nice and tall and strong. So strong posture, you'll hear me say tall trunk, strong posture. And that doesn't mean just rigid, right? It just means that we're aware of trying to pull these muscles in and up and hold them there while we breathe. So you'll hear me say that as well. And then the other part of it is the scooping. It's the opposition of that tall trunk. And so we are doing what's called a rounding or a C-spine, but we call it scooping in Pilates. And so I'm going to show you a profile of that. And we went over this a little bit with the assessment, right? So the scooping will happen when we're kneeling. It'll happen when we're seated. It will happen when we're on our backs. And that simply just means that we are trying to create a scooped or C-spine position, okay? So we do that by directing our hips slightly forward, so we tilt our pelvis forward when we're kneeling, which engages our glutes, correct? And then we're gonna pull our abdominals in, like we're sucking in, right? We'll pull those abdominals in, and then we'll start to round our shoulders forward. And so you should feel, maybe even some popping and cracking, but you should feel, definitely feel, the change in the position of especially the lumbar area, right? Because you're tucking your pelvis under and forward. And then when you bring your shoulders forward, you should feel this scooping occurring, okay? So you'll hear me say scoop a lot, and that's just simply pulling the abdominals in and back towards the spine, and the shoulders and the hips are tilting and rounding forward. So I'm not leaning forward, I'm just creating this scooping position. See this? So if you go back to tall trunk, try this with me. If you go back to tall trunk and then you scoop, you should feel this positional change, okay? All right, so we're gonna practice that like we did last time with the chest expansion. So let's go ahead and do this, synchronizing it with our breathing. So what we're gonna do is bring our arms outstretched to the sides, and I'm going to expand my chest in tall trunk with an exhale. And then I'm going to scoop and round my arms forward with an inhale. So I'm pulling my breath in, I'm pulling my abdominals in, inhale, exhale, expand here, tall trunk, inhale, scoop, exhale, tall, inhale, scoop, now And while we're doing this, I've talked about how if you want to breathe through your nose or your mouth or both, it's up to you. Whatever you need to do to get the most out of your breathing. Good. Now drop your arms. Okay, so that's the first exercise for the warm-up, and that's just warming up that spine, that lumbar area, right? And practicing that scooping with the breathing. So we're going to do that again, but we're going to do this in a quad position or a table position. And so that just simply means we're going to bring our hands down to this table position, and we're going to practice the same thing with cat and cow. So the cow is I lift my head up, I tilt my pelvis back, hips back and up, and I drop my abdomen, right? And then my cat, I'm going to do the opposite. So I'm going to pull my hips, pelvis forward, and pull my abdominals up, drop my head down, and really try to scoop here with the back. All right, so cow, cat. I like to inhale on the cow and exhale on the cat so it can get a nice big high middle back. And you'll feel the change in the position again in the lumbar area, which is that lower back, as well as that middle thoracic area, which is in the center of the middle of that, right in the middle of that rib cage area. Good. Okay, now from here we're going to go into an exercise called dynamic. We're going to move our hands forward and we're going to bring our hips down. Okay, so arms are straight, hips are down. All I'm going to do here is transfer my weight back with my hips, keep my hands in contact with the mat, and then pull back to start. And back, keeping the arms straight. So now we're really just warming up our hips and our knees and our arms, shoulders, and even the sides of our trunk here. So you'll see, or you'll hear me say continuous breathing. And that is where we're not coordinating breathing with movement, but we're just breathing, okay? All right, come up to a kneeling position, kneeling tall. So when I say just continuous breathing, that simply means we're not synchronizing or coordinating, okay? So just being thoughtful about your inhales and your exhales and make it nice and comfortable, okay? All right, so we're gonna come over to a seated position and we're gonna practice that scooping from here as well. So let's try this here. Hands on knees. So we will always finish with what's called seated accordion at the end of our session, and that is just practicing that C-spine or that scooped position, but we're gonna try it from the start. So anytime we can practice the scooping is positive, okay? So I'm going to come up tall. So I push my abdomen forward, right? My back is flat. Now what's going to happen is I'm going to collapse my lower back. So I'm going to let it go. Start to lean back and scoop. And from here, you'll see this scoop position. My shoulders are staying ahead of my torso. And I'm just slightly leaning back and scooping, pulling my abdominals in. Head comes down. And then I come back to flat, tall trunk. So we're just going to go back, practicing, and forward, and back. So it's almost like your lower back is leading the lean back. Feel that? So my lumbar leads, and then my middle back. So this is called seated accordion. It's continuous movement, but we're stretching, like it's active stretching really is what it is. Good, or dynamic stretching. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and go on our backs. So part of that assessment was that 100 exercise. Remember that with the pumping of the arms? So let's review this before we go down to our backs. So what ended up happening was we were testing with straight legs, and we're not going to do that today. We're going to bend our knees today. But when we did our 100, we extended our arms. Try this with me. We extended our arms out at our sides with our palms facing down, and we just pumped up and down. Not too big, but we created some resistance in the arms, right? And we pumped 5 for an inhale and 5 pumps for an exhale. Remember this? Okay, so that was the pumping movement. The other thing was we coordinated that pumping and breathing with the counting, okay? So we made sure that we counted on our hand. We'll drop a finger every time we completed 10 total pumps or 1 breath, right? And then the next one, that's 20, and then the next one, 30, 40, 50, and onward, right? So that's how we did that. That's how we paid attention to coordinating the counting, right, with the movement and the breathing. And then the other thing was that we were scooping. So we were holding our legs straight, but we're going to hold our legs bent today. So watch me. I want you to come down, staying scooped. I'm going to bring my knees up and in. So I'm in this chair position here, okay? Anytime my head is up off the mat, my shoulders are off the mat. My chin is dropped down to my chest. I'm going to bring my feet down. I just want to explain something. When my chin is dropped down to my chest, I want to look down at my belly button, okay? And when this happens, we immediately start to scoop. And what that means is I start to pull my abdominals inward and pressing down with my back. So I'm trying to connect my lower back to the mat while holding these abdominal muscles in this contracted position, okay? Now, from here, we're going to make sure that our head stays in that same position, our chin stays in the same position, and our abdominals are scooped the entire time, okay, that we are pumping our arms. So it shouldn't be easy, it should be challenging, and you're going to feel some neck fatigue if you don't already feel the neck fatigue after the assessment. So this is normal because we don't usually hold our heads in this position, okay? So let's do this together. So go ahead and bring your legs up, chair position, head and shoulders up, scooping, hold there, breathing. Here we go. Extend your arms and begin. Inhale, exhale, 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 inhale, exhale. Last one. Good. So that is a warm-up for coordination of breathing and scooping. You also get a nice benefit of the arms with the pumping. And so from here, our final warm-up exercise will be a leg circle exercise, and that's just to open and warm up the pelvis region, okay? So I'll talk a little bit more about our posture when we're on our backs as we go, so I don't want to get everything out there in the first session. But we're going to take everything slow today, and we're only going to go through the session one time because this will take a little bit of time. Normally we'll go through 2 times, okay? So When we're warming up our legs or our hips, we're going to go ahead and keep one leg down on the mat, and then we're going to extend the other leg up. So this is just a warm-up exercise. So this leg is straight up in the air, right? I'm going to keep my rear grounded to the mat. So I want to make sure that I'm pressing my butt down to the mat. I just want to keep my arms at my sides. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and bend my knees slightly. And then I'm going to open my hip. So I'm going to direct my knee and my toes outward, away from my body. So I have a bent, angled leg here, okay? Keeping my hips down on the mat and my foot down and my arms down and my head down. Everything is connected to the mat. I'm just going to circle my entire leg from the hip joint all the way to the toes, maintaining this open, bent position. And so you should feel this in the inner hip, inner thigh, groin area. You'll also feel this in your lumbar, lower back area. And we're just isolating, right? We're just isolating this leg and letting it do the work. Now we're going to reverse the circle, go the opposite direction. It's just a nice small circle, not a big one. Just continuous breathing. There's no coordination of breathing here. Good. And then we're going to bring this leg down, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So leg goes up. We're going to slightly bend. We're going to open it so it's angled out. And we're going to begin again. Small circles from the hip. And then we're going to reverse and go the opposite way. Good. Okay. Bring that foot down. Okay, so there are 6 guiding principles to mat Pilates. I'm going to send those out in a document for you to read over, okay? The first one that we talked about was breath or breathing. Okay, and we'll continue to talk about breathing throughout the semester. The second one that I'm going to talk about today of the 6 is control. We want to make sure that we're controlling our pace, we're controlling our breathing, and we're controlling the move, the actual movement of the exercise, of the leg, the arm, whatever we're working, right? Muscle groups. So there's no rush to do anything in this class. Everything is slowed down, so it's very controlled. So I want you to stay at the same pace that I go, and you're not going any faster than that, okay? And so the whole concept of the control part of the guiding principles is to be aware of what is happening when you're moving those muscles. So being aware takes thoughtfulness, right? And so we're just going to control the move and control the pace. All right. First exercise. So we're going to go ahead and start our session. Okay, so we've gone through the warm-up. We're going to start our session. I would just advise you to make sure, like, see how I'm looking at you at the side? I would advise you, if you're following along, to make sure that you can look straight ahead and see me out here in front. So putting your phone or your iPad or your laptop or whatever out more in front of you, or even your television, right, your smart TV, just so that you can look straight ahead, because you don't want a lot of pressure put on one side of your body, unlike what I'm doing, right? Okay, first exercise, we're going to do a modified single leg. So the single leg was the first exercise when we did the Fab Five, remember that? So we're going to modify it. So we're going to start out really slow. One leg is going to be grounded, and then the other leg is going to do the work. So it's single leg working. So one leg is working, okay? So we're going to go ahead and bring our head and shoulders up off the mat. We're going to go ahead and scoop. We're going to bring one knee in. And we're just going to extend this leg, pull this knee in, out, in. So you'll hear me say check yourself, and that means check your breathing, continuous breathing here. Check your neckline, chin to chest. Checking your posture, scooping. And checking your pace, your speed. Good. Go ahead and rest your head, bringing that foot down. We're going to switch to the other side. Anytime you need to bring your head down to relieve that tension or that fatigue of that neck is totally fine, okay? All right, go ahead and bring head and shoulders up. Again, scooping, knee in, let it go. Extend and in. So this is single leg modified. One more. And rest. Good. Okay, so next exercise is double leg modified. And so what we're going to do is we're going to keep our arms at our sides. So again, we're going to really rely on our neck and our head, right, to hold our head and shoulders up. And we're going to bend both knees. So with the double leg traditional, that was the second exercise in the Fab Five. This is a modified version. So we're going to go ahead and bring both knees in, chair position again, head and shoulders up again, scooping again, and then continuous breathing. We're just going to drop both feet down, keeping the legs bent, and pull the knees back to start. Down and up. Down. Continuous breathing, scooping, chin to chest. One more. And rest. Good. All right. So we're going to practice what's called a bridge. So if you've ever done a bridge, you know how good they are for your hamstrings, your quads, and your glutes. It's also a great exercise for your lumbar area, your lower back. So every exercise that you learn in here, there are so many variations of each one. So each one will grow or adapt, and we'll have different variations throughout the semester. This is one of them. So this is just a bridge exercise traditional. And what that means is arms are at my sides, my legs are bent, feet are flat on the floor, and I'm going to go ahead and begin by lifting my hips up off of the mat as high as I can. And at the top of this lift, I'm going to focus on tightening my glutes. So I'm engaging or contracting those muscles. You'll feel the hamstrings engaged, you'll feel the quadriceps engaged, you'll feel the lumbar area engaged to hold the hips up. Now I want you to pull your abdominals in. Hold them there and breathe. So there's a lot going on here, right? Now I want you to lower, let it go. Rest at the bottom. So we're going to do that again, and at the top, I want you to make sure that you pull your abdominals in and keep them there nice and flat and strong. Here we go, lift up. Engage glutes, engage abdominals, breathe, hold, and down. One more time. Ready? Up. And down. Nice. And rest here. Good. All right, so the next exercise in the Fab Five was the crisscross, right? That was the third exercise. We're going to go ahead and modify that one as well today. So we're going to go modified bent leg drop. So what that means is I'm going to start in chair. And I'm going to go ahead and lift my head and shoulders up off the mat, but I'm going to bring my hands behind my neck this time to hold. Okay? Now from here, I'm going to drop my left foot down, and I'm going to rotate towards my right knee that's elevated. Come back to center, bring that leg back up. Drop my right foot and diagonally come across to that left knee. So you'll notice that I'm just coming across the rib cage, keeping my shoulders elevated off the mat, breathing. Always scooping as much as possible, right? Slowly rotating, keeping the rear on the mat. Don't lift anything up. And rest. Good. Nice. All right, so the fourth exercise was a double leg stretch. And so, the fifth exercise was a double straight leg stretch. So we're going to modify the double straight leg stretch. The only exercise we're not doing as part of the Fab 5 today is the single straight, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and bring my legs in chair position. So this is modified version of double straight. Knees are bent. I'm going to lift my head and shoulders up off the mat again. Bring my hands back behind my neck again. And from here, I'm just going to extend my legs out and pull my knees in. Now, really important that we're scooping, right? And we're pressing that low back down into the mat. I'm going to exhale as I extend my legs. Inhale in. Exhale out. Inhale in. That's how slow it is. One more. Good. Feet down, head down, arms down. Nice. All right, so at this point in the session, we've done all of our beginning exercises to warm up before our roll-up. Now, we did test for roll-up in the advanced stage. We're not doing that. We're not even practicing anything close to that. We're actually going to start with a very modified roll-up exercise. So we're going to keep our legs bent, and we're just going to do what's called a roll-up hold. Okay, so we're just practicing the movement and the muscles being used. So bring your arms at your sides. Now, what's going to happen is I'm going to lift my head up off the mat, which means my shoulders come up off the mat, which means my chin comes to my chest, and I start to scoop, right, in my abdomen region here. So we're just going to practice that as a lift. So let's do that. Come up. This is what it looks like. And down. Now, this time I want you to exhale as you lift. Ready? Up. Scoop. And down. Good. Now this time, when you get to the top, I want you to engage your glutes. So you're going to tighten your glutes. After you scoop, you'll tighten your glutes. You're exhaling as you lift. Here we go. Ready? And down. So if you noticed, when you tightened your glutes, it almost felt like you were lifting off the mat, right? I want you to try that again and notice that. Here we go. Good. Okay, so part of the roll up, the power that you're going to get to pull yourself up is in this hip region, okay? So your engagement of your glutes, your abdominals, the pressing of the low back down into the mat. When we start to pull ourselves up, we'll add one more. We'll start to talk about our pelvic floor muscles and activating those. But right now, we just want to practice the scooping, the glutes, and the exhale. Okay, now we're going to raise our arms and reach them forward on this next lift. Here we go, ready? And down. So what you're trying to do is see if you can lift your entire back up off the mat, just the back. Here we go. Pressing that low back down, abdominals are pulled in, glutes are engaged. Good. So hopefully you feel those muscles working together, right? We're going to roll to our sides, push ourselves up, come up to a seated position. We're going to practice that roll down, so the decline to the floor, okay? So we are, remember how in the beginning we practice that seated accordion? Same kind of idea. So sitting up tall, legs are bent. I'm going to go ahead and collapse my spine, so my low back is leading, right? I'm going to start to scoop and lean back, but I'm going to let go of my arms. So it looks like this. Then back. All right, with me. Collapse, scoop, stay rounded, lean back, and up. Now we're going to exhale as we do that move. Here we go. Collapse. So in this roll down hold, it's almost like we're trying to connect our low back to the mat before anything else connects. So that's why we collapse the spine. Here we go, ready? Let's go one more. Good. All right. So now we're in a seated position for our exercises. So we'll go from our back exercises to a seated with a series of exercises, and then from here we'll go to our tummies. That's typically what the session includes, okay? So now we're seated, and of course we can always contract those muscles by scooping, right? Tall posture, we're really working on the strengthening of our lower back or our lumbar area, so that's really important. We're going to do what's called seated balance. So you'll have a seated balance exercise with your feet on the mat, and then you'll have a seated balance exercise with your feet off the mat. Okay, so we're going to start nice and slow, and what's going to happen is we're going to keep our feet on the floor. So from here, I'm going to sit up tall. So I have tall posture with my legs bent. So that just means I'm pushing my abdomen forward. So my back is flat, okay? And from here, I'm going to extend one leg out. That's it. See this? And then pull it back in. Then I'm going to extend the other leg out, keeping it off the floor, pulling it in. Do you feel what's happening here? So this leg, when it extends, I am from hip to quad holding that leg up. So there's strengthening happening here. But also when you extend, notice what happens to your lumbar, your lower back is trying to support that leg, right? I want you to pull your abdominals in, keep your back flat and tall, and you're going to breathe continuously. That just means comfortably at a good rhythm. Extend. Bring it in. Extend. Bring it in. So Pilates is not just about your abdominals, okay? It's about your core, and your core includes your hips and your quads and your glutes and your hamstrings. That's where you get your power or your strength to do the things you do with your arms and your legs, right? All right, so go ahead and just let go of the back, lean forward into what's called a knee hug. So we're just letting the back go. So we have to strengthen all of those muscles, and the hips are vital. The hips are very important to us developing through this series, okay? So go ahead and extend those legs, keeping them together. We're going to do what's called front stretch. So we're just going to let this lumbar go, okay? So remember spine stretch, we practiced that for this the assessment. We're going to do front stretch. It just means the legs are together. Spine stretch, legs are open. Front stretch, legs are together. Tall trunk, we're going to reach up with our arms. I'm just going to stretch forward by hinging forward as far as we can, and then I'm going to scoop and pull my back and my arms back to position. Tall trunk, push the abdominals forward, flat back. Repeat over the top of the legs, stretching, dynamic stretching. Breathing. Exhale here, exhale. Inhale to the top. Exhale. Inhale. So you'll notice the lumbar region is stretching. And the hamstrings and the glutes. Good. All right, go ahead and bend your knees. We're going to come back on our elbows. So bring your hands back behind your hips, and you're just going to come back onto your elbows. And so from this position, I'm going to do a straight leg lift. So we did a straight leg lift in that seated tall position, right? Seated balance position. Now we're going to do the same. We're going to extend this leg out. But from this position, I want to lift my abdomen up, okay? Now from here, holding my abs in this position, breathing continuously, I'm just going to lift this leg and lower, and lift, and lower, and up, and down. Again, quadricep, hips, lower abdominals working here, lower back working here. Good. All right, we're going to switch legs. Lift the abdomen and lift the leg. Breathing continuously. Last one. Good. Now we're going to come forward. And this time we're going to go spine stretch. So we're going to split the legs. So open V position. And we're going to stretch forward. So same thing. Over the legs. Round the back. Pull the arms in. Tall trunk. Exhale here. Inhale to the top. One more. Good. Okay, so from this V position here, I want you to go ahead and bring your legs around to your side. So I call this a Z position, Z of the legs, and it's basically just a side folded leg position, bent leg position here. Okay, so this is where we're going to practice our exercise called mermaid. So we're working on hips, we're working on sides, we're working on strength as far as posture is concerned, but also some flexibility, increasing flexibility in our hips. Okay, so if you're not real flexible in your hips, which a lot of tight muscled people are not very flexible in their hips, warm up with this just nice and easy, okay? Since we're only doing this once. Okay, so you're balancing on basically one cheek, right? Here the other cheek is lifted because it's bent and out away. So it's really more important that you have a tall trunk. So even though this feels weird with the legs out to the side, it's just really important that we're making sure that we have strong posture as best as we can, right? We're going to go ahead and bring one hand on the shin of this folded leg, and then we're going to bring the other hand out to the mat on the other side of the body. So this is the starting position for mermaid. Tall trunk, good posture here. So what's going to happen is we're going to do side bends from here. So just find the most comfortable position for your legs. Just figure it out here, okay? So from here, I'm going to let go of the mat first, and maintaining tall posture, I'm going to sweep my arm up and over my head, and I'm going to pull on my shin to assist this bend. See this here? And then I'm going to return. It's not a big bend. Put my hand down on the mat, let go of my shin, and I'm going to sweep up and over my head and bend this elbow and reach with a nice stretch over into that trunk and come back to start. Okay, let's try this again. Let go of the mat, pull, breathing continuously. Nice easy bends, no pace involved at all. It's just a very slowed down side stretch. We'll go one more. And you should start to feel a little more limbering up, right? Good. All right, we're going to switch the legs to the other side. So what ends up happening is because the legs are in that static position and the trunk is doing the work, right? You're still stretching out those hips, okay? Believe me, that's exactly what happens. So even though you're not moving those legs at all, moving the hips. Hold on to the shin, hand on the mat, find your posture, right? Let go of the mat, easy bend, continuous breathing. Lumbar area should be working, right? You should feel it for sure. This is it for the last stretch because it's holding your posture, right? Good. All right, let's come around to center. Bring the knees in front again for another knee hug, which means we just let our back go and we hug our knees. All right, so now this is the part of the session where we turn onto our tummies and we do mostly back exercises, okay? But we do other exercises as well. We're gonna go ahead and turn over. Now, from here, we're gonna do a trunk lift and we're just focusing on the trunk. The legs stay down, okay? So I'm going to bring my arms out in front, leading with my forehead down. Watch me. And I'm just going to try and lift my trunk by pressing my pelvis down, tightening my glutes. I'm going to lift up onto my forearms, okay? And then lower and relax. So again, pressing the pelvis down, engaging the glutes, exhaling as we lift up and pull the elbows in. Ready? Go. And down. And up. One more. Up. Good. All right, go ahead and fold your arms in front. Now we're going to keep our head down. Watch me, head down, and we're going to focus on the legs. So again, keeping the pelvis down, connected to the mat and engaging the glutes. I'm just going to lift one leg up and lower it, and lift the other leg up and lower it. Okay, that's all I'm doing. All right, with me, listen to me and practice this. Here we go, ready? Up and down, other leg, up, continuous breathing. Press and tighten as you lift. Up, down, up, down. Two more, up, down, and up, down. Good. All right, bring your hands outside your chest. Keeping your knees connected to the mat, you're going to push up. And then you're going to come into low back stretch, which means your hips come back. Kind of like that dynamic stretch in the beginning, but we're going to hold this position. So it's a little similar to child's pose. Good. Okay, so from this low back stretch position, we're going to go into a low plank. For me, low plank is on our elbows, okay? So I'm on my elbows, and I'm going to bring my hips down. See this? And my knees are going to come up off the mat, and I'm going to do knee drops. Continuous breathing, join me. So we're getting a shoulder workout here. Pull your abs up and in, hold them there. That helps stabilize your back. We're getting a trunk workout. Back is stabilizing and supporting. And both knees down. Good. All right, go ahead and bring your hands down and come on up. Stand kneeling tall here. Okay, so this is called kneeling tall position. So when you hear me say kneeling tall, we're just simply bringing our weight up off of our arms, right? In a tall position. So we're going to go into what's called hip thrusts. So this is ultimately will become two-part, but we're just going to focus on the first part, and that's the hip thrust. Okay. So from this kneeling tall position, really important that when we're kneeling and tall, that we engage our glutes, we pull our abdominals in, and our quads are nice and strong and back is strong because of that. Okay, so glutes and abs here. Okay, so holding on to these muscles, breathing. Feel the strength? Okay, we're going to do a thrust. So it looks like this. I'm first going to pull my hinge. It's like a hinging. I'm going to pull my hips back as I slightly lean forward. Feel that? So when I hinge and I pull my hips back, I make sure my back is flat and my abdominals are pulled in. So it's like a flat, strong back, right? But my arms are out in front. And now I'm gonna hinge, I'm gonna thrust forward. Again, glutes and abs, tall. So it's back and forward, and back and forward, and back, forward, and back, forward. Feel that? So you should feel this in the quads and the hips. We'll go one more. Good. Okay, one more table position or plank position. So we're going to come into table position or quad position with hands down, with knees down, and we're going to work the legs here. So we'll do a series of these type of exercises from our table position. So I'm just going to extend one leg back, keeping the other knee down. Now I'm really focused on centering for balance, and I'm just going to lift this leg up, tightening my glutes. Abdominals are working, they're pulled up and in and down. And up and down. Nice and slow on the lift. Feel the muscles working, primarily in the glutes. Continuous breathing. We'll go one more. And switch. Extend the other leg back. Find your center and lift and breathe. One more. Good. Bring your knees in. All right, let's go low back stretch again, and this time we're going to bring our arms in, head down. So we're just releasing the back. And we're going to finish with one more exercise. So we're going to come down on our side. So we'll do some side leg work and some side trunk work. So we're just going to do one today. Hand is propped behind your head. You're going to bring your other hand out in front of your trunk for balance. Anytime one hip is on the mat, we're just going to make sure that we stay nicely connected with that hip. We're going to pull our abdominals in. We're still working our trunk as well as the leg, okay? We're just gonna lift and lower. So we're working on hip strengthening. Slow it down. We're lifting, we're not kicking. Continuous breathing, pressing the hip down, pulling those abdominals in. All right, we're going to switch sides. Find your position and lift and down. One more. Good. Bend your knees, push yourselves up, and come to a seated position. I'm going to close my window real quick. Hold on. finish in a seated position with those seated accordions. So just letting that back go. Dynamic stretching here. And extend your legs out in front. We will always finish with some arm exercises. So today we're just going to do a simple arm circle. That's it. So we're going to reach up, nice tall trunk, and we're just going to circle with our arms. So trying to create some resistance with the arms. So tightening those muscles and breathing. Big breathing here, right? And then we're going to reverse, opposite direction. Good. And bring your arms down. And we're just going to tilt forward and just let the back go. All right, you guys, so first session of the week is complete. Nice job. So we had our assessment, we had our session 1, and then we're gonna have our session 2. After each session, make sure you leave a comment, and all you need to leave is finished or done, right? Or thank you, or complete, right? That's it. Just one simple comment after each session. And then I will see you for our next session. That'll be it for the week. And then I'll talk about the weekly connection of this next session, okay? So try to space your routines. Give yourself a day in between if you can. If not, just don't do multiples in one day, okay? It's gonna be really hard on you. And if you ever have any questions, of course, just reach out. So make sure to comment right after you stop the video, comment, and then you can get out of Canvas and you're good. All right, see you next time.